Social media is the best of times and the worst of times. That's what Charles Dickens probably would have said if he was here, but he's not, so roll the intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video on this channel. My name is Chase, and I try to make kind of serious videos on this channel from time to time. And today I want to talk about, or really elaborate on, a post that I put out on social media yesterday that didn't get a lot of backlash publicly, but got a lot of backlash from people all over the spectrum privately. And that's this post that I made on Facebook where I said, if I get gunned down by the police, just know that I'm a law-abiding citizen who has no intention of making sudden moves or being disrespectful. I am of sound mind, and by no means would I ever put myself in a position to be justifiably killed. I'm in full support of and thankful for the well-meaning officers who put their lives on the line every day, and regardless of the footage or lack thereof, the inevitable assassination of my character that is sure to take place is unfounded and unjustified. Obviously, that was a bit of an emotional response to a situation that hit closer to home than many others that make the news for a number of reasons, some that I can't really talk about here, but it's dangerous in any situation to post an emotional response for a number of reasons, and that's why usually I like to let the waters set for at least a day or so before diving into a story or a situation. But like I said, this one hit closer to home because it took place in my dad's hometown. The girl who has the same name as my sister, and there's some other situations that affect me directly that I can't really talk about publicly. But as I've had a day or so to sit back and analyze the current situation that I'm purposely trying not to get into all the details about to avoid getting demonetized, I want to dive deeper into my heart behind that post in particular, because ultimately the reason that I posted that wasn't just to have some sort of living will on Facebook or something like that, but it was because I was trying to steer people in a direction to where I think our heart should be whenever there's any situation where there's a loss of life that comes into the news. And that's that we need to learn to feel. And I get it. There's so many tragic events that happen every day across the nation, around the world, that to some extent it's impossible to truly enter in and feel every ounce of pain and grief that's in the world. But here's the deal. Almost without fail, when there's a situation that involves law enforcement and the loss of life of a minority that garners national attention, one of three things happen. Either there's an assumption that the person who lost their life was automatically in the wrong. Like, to some people, it just doesn't even fit into their worldview at all, that you can comply with the police completely and still die. Okay, so that's one category. There's another category where no matter what happened, the police are always in the wrong. Like, if the police take someone's life, then they're automatically the bad guy, no matter what the situation was. And then there's a third category where there's those who say, I'm just gonna wait for all the facts to come out before deciding whose side that I'm on. And in all three of those categories, there's a lack of feeling and empathy. Either in the first group, there's a lack of empathy for the families of the one whose life was lost. And even if the one who was shot was in the wrong, people are grieving the loss of their loved ones. In fact, I was thinking just the other day, whenever someone dies at the hand of the police, there's so many lives that are affected besides the family of the person who was lost. Think about all the people who witnessed that event. And so in the first group, that first group is completely ignoring weeping with those who are weeping in that first category. In the second group, there's a lack of empathy towards the police, whose life has also been seriously affected. I mean, they took someone's life, and so their life is seriously affected, if not forever ruined. And in the third category, there's a lack of initial empathy for all the parties that were involved. Pastor Matt Chandler gives this illustration that I've shared on this channel before and talked about a lot. And he gives this illustration of going into someone's house whose child stuck their hand into an unsafe outlet and died. Right? That's a terrible, tragic situation. And how evil would it be for us to go into someone's house and say, you know what, I'm gonna sit back and evaluate everything that's going on, and then I'll decide if I'm gonna empathize with the parents, because it might have been their fault. And how even worse would it be for us to go into that house and immediately start blaming the parents and say, hey, it's your fault, you're the one, it's your fault that your child died.
And then I show up and I walk into the room, and there the EMTs are putting the body in and getting it out of the house, and mom and dad are wailing. Is that the time for me to begin to say, well, if you house-proof, here's a link to how you house-proof, if you just put this in? How absurd and wicked would I be if in the midst of their sorrow, their loss, their confusion, their anger, I started to talk about how you can avoid that? See how absurd that is? It's like, shut up. Enter in. Try to understand. Just say, I'm sorry. This is not the time for facts. Facts has its place. Don't email me. Facts come out in time. You give facts time to work. And I don't bring it up that night.
A heart of genuine empathy, a heart that truly weeps with all the people who are involved that are weeping, has to start with really feeling the sting of the moment. And I think that leads to lament, which then leads to being able to construct solutions and moving forward. And so that's why I posted that one, because I was being serious and I wanted that set in stone somewhere in the not so off chance that something like that does happen. But also because I believe, and I'm speaking primarily as a pastor here, I believe that when we strip away the emotion in life and death situations and we try to only evaluate things objectively, then we're actually operating in a way that's completely unlike Jesus. And I get it, it's difficult for me as a black man in America to be completely objective in these cases, but let me share one quick story. I know pastors always say that, let me share one quick story. But I'm part of a church planting group here in Cleveland. I don't want to get into all the details and share names, but we have spent the last several months really lamenting and looking at racial issues that are going on here in the United States, and I've shared stories and people have shared stories and white and black pastors coming together and really lamenting the realities of injustice in the world. And that's been going on all the way since last summer. And it wasn't until just this last week that now we've begun to talk about taking steps forward, and we're working together as a coalition of church planters to attack some serious issues that need to be addressed in East Cleveland, one of the most dangerous places and gang-affiliated places in the state of Ohio. And we wouldn't have been able to get to that point if we hadn't spent some serious time just feeling each other's pain and grief and focused and shared in that grief and pain. And now we're able to focus on moving forward. So that's where I'm at. Was I posting that post yesterday out of fear? No. Was I posting that to take sides on a particular issue? No. Is this me backtracking and trying to justify what I said in light of other evidence that's come out? No. But social media is the worst at times, and I can't get across what I was trying to say in just a few sentences. And what I was trying to say is that whether you're black, whether you're white, whether you're police or civilian, Christian, even non-Christian, until we learn to feel each other's pain, the pain of everyone who was involved, then we're not gonna be able to move forward. And for those Christians who are watching right now, church, this is an opportunity for us to do just that, to truly weep with those who are weeping, and then we can start to take the next steps that are needed to take. And so what do those next steps look like? Well, I think let's try to get to step one, and then we can move on from there. So thanks for watching this video. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button, share this video if you think it'll be helpful to someone else, and as always, I will see you in another video. Because he's the one who said it's the best of times. Yeah. I should probably look that up to make sure it's him.